Well, he set up shop in Washington, behind the Oval Door. Hung a sign out front that read, "Welcome to the Pardon Store." Got a crypto billionaire who needed charges cleared. 40 million later, and the guilty plea disappeared. Step right up to the Pardon Store. Everything's for sale. Money laundering, fraud, corruption will keep you out of jail. Just find somebody close to him and slide him what you got. Step right up to the Pardon Store, where justice costs a lot. He started up a war with Iran and forgot to tell his friends. Now the NATO naughty list is growing without end. He's gonna kick out Spain because they wouldn't lend their sky. Meanwhile, every ally's asking, whose side's this guy? Step right up to the Pardon Store. Everything's for sale. Money laundering, fraud, corruption will keep you out of jail. Just find somebody close to him and slide him what you got. Step right up to the Pardon Store, where justice costs a lot. He called a 3-day ceasefire right on Putin's victory day. So Russia got their big parade while Ukraine looked away. He said, tremendous progress, but the deal ain't looking right. Turned out starting wars is easy, finishing takes some fight. He's losing all his demands in Iran one by one. Turns out bombing a country's harder than a Twitter run. Step right up to the Pardon Store. The NATO's come unwound. Ukraine got a 3-day break while Putin marched around. 34 approval pardons sold and allies gone. Step right up to the Pardon Store. God bless, the show goes on. Pardons, peace deals, and justice for all who can afford it.
At these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed. Are Republicans so interested in Bill and Hillary Clinton? It's because they're trying to distract from the fact that Donald Trump is in the Epstein files thousands and thousands of times. In those files, there's highly disturbing allegations of Donald Trump raping children, of Donald Trump threatening to kill children. So I encourage your press to go look at these allegations, and I'm highly disturbed that Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche just got the law wrong.
The televised smiles, was there something else? In 2021, an Epstein under the pseudonym Jane told a federal judge that Epstein himself introduced her to Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago, and shortly after that introduction, she competed in Miss Teen USA. And at that time, Trump owned the Miss Universe organization, which included Miss Teen USA.
I guess that would place you still in high school.
Yes, I'll be a returning sophomore.
Oh my goodness.
How did a teenager being essayed by Jeffrey Epstein end up inside of one of Donald Trump's pageants? In today's case files, we are going to get into it all. And to be honest, the deeper we go into the timeline, the ownership records, the social overlap between Trump and Epstein in the 1990s, the harder it becomes to ignore one uncomfortable question. Was this just a coincidence? Or was the pageant simply one more legitimate space that intersected with Epstein's dark world?
I mean, I was very young and I remember feeling kind of embarrassed. What just happened?
convention took place in 1992 aboard the Spirit of New York, a charter cruise that was attended by the teenage finalists, as well as prominent figures in the fashion and entertainment world. One of the girls on the boat was Shauna Lee, then a 14-year-old from a small town outside of Toronto. She recalls how the contestants were encouraged to parade downstairs, one by one, and dance for Trump, Casablancas, and others. Quote, "A woman at the agency was pushing me," she recalls. "I said to her, I don't see why me going down the stairs and dancing in front of those two has anything to do with me becoming a model." And she said, "Take off your blazer and go do it." Another contestant, who was 15 at the time, also remembers being asked to walk for Trump, Casablancas, and other men on the boat in September of 1992. She says an organizer told her that if she refused, she would be excluded from the competition. Trump also served as a judge at that year's competition.
The president of the Trump Organization, Mr. Donald Trump.
Alongside other well-known figures, including magician David Copperfield, who is also in the Epstein files. Here is a still from the previously unseen footage of that 1991 Look of the Year finale. I don't know why teen girls. After interviewing dozens of the former Look of the Year contestants and reviewing hours of previously never seen footage of the event, The Guardian reported that John Casablancas, along with some of the men in his orbit, had used this competition as a way to pursue these sexual relationships with these young, vulnerable girls. Some described behavior that amounted to harassment, coercion, or exploitation of teenage girls. Others allege much more serious forms of sexual misconduct. And I'm sure, to no one's surprise, John Casablancas was also friends with Jeffrey Epstein. In 1990, Casablancas sent a teenage model for her first casting call at a residential address on New York's Upper East Side to meet a photographer who, it turned out, was Epstein. The lawsuit states that Epstein ordered the 15-year-old girl to undress before taking photographs of her, pushing her against a wall and essaying her. Trump was very much around this world. Not only around this world, but would attend these very parties with the 14 to 16-year-old girl models. Here's a clip from a BBC documentary I stumbled across.
Describe to us the way Donald Trump behaved at these parties.
I mean, this guy was, it was like a predator in action.
I went to the washroom and I was going in and a girl was coming out and she kind of looked at me and I go, "Have you talked to that Trump guy?" And she goes, "Yeah, as I was walking by, he's like trying to grab my ass."
We do know that he was having sex with them.
How do you know that?
Because the next day or days after we would hear about it, he'd brag about it to his friends and it would get around that he scored, you know, maybe 1 or 2 girls at a time, which is what he loved to do. And these girls are all like, you know, anywhere from 14, 15, 16 years old.
We already know what kind of disgusting pig Donald Trump is. We already know that the Trump family, the Trump crime family, is what they are. We already know who they are. They're the worst things that ever came to the United States. The Trump family hasn't given anything back to the United States. The only thing that they have did in the whole time they have been here was just take. With their racism, their bigotry. Donald Trump is the most disgusting person that you ever want to meet. Even Epstein had said so, and Epstein was a disgusting piece of shit. But let's talk about what John Roberts had said, okay? John Roberts claims that what decision that he made was not a political thing. I say bullshit. I believe that John Roberts is just as much as a racist as the people before him. I don't think he believes that people of color, black people, should have any kind of footing in making decisions as Americans in this country. He despises us because the color of our skin.
The Dixiecrats were a breakaway group of Southern Democrats in 1948 who opposed the National Democratic Party's growing support for civil rights for Black Americans. This is who John Roberts is. Officially, they called themselves the States' Rights Democratic Party. Their main goals were preserving racial segregation, especially in schools, public facilities, and transportation, defending Jim Crow laws in the South, opposing federal civil rights laws and federal intervention in state policies, maintaining white political control in southern states, arguing that individual states should decide racial policies instead of the federal government. Does this look like what Roberts just did in his decision? Stripping voter rights from black Americans. Their presidential candidate was Strom Thurmond, then governor of South Carolina. He openly campaigned against racial integration and civil rights protections. The movement grew after President Harry S. Truman desegregated the U.S. military, supported anti-lynching laws, and pushed for stronger civil rights protections. So you see, Roberts gave them what they wanted for decades. Dixiecrats were formed in 1948. Roberts' next move will try to remove the 14th Amendment.
Chief Justice John Roberts says Supreme Court is not political. By Associated Press. Hershey, Pennsylvania AP Supreme Court justices are not political actors, Chief Justice John Roberts said Wednesday, insisting unpopular court decisions are based solely on the law. I think, at a very basic level, people think we are making policy decisions. We are saying we think this is how things should be, as opposed to what the law provides, he said. I think they view us as purely political actors, which I do not think is an accurate understanding of what we do. His remarks to a conference of judges and lawyers from the 3rd U.S. Circuit in Pennsylvania came at a time of low public confidence in the court, and about a week after the court handed down a decision that hollowed out the Voting Rights Act. The High Court struck down a majority black congressional district in Louisiana, finding it was an unconstitutional gerrymander based on race. The decision weakened the civil rights era law that has increased minority representation in Congress, and it opened the door for more redistricting across the country that could aid Republican efforts to control the House. In recent years, the conservative majority court has also handed down landmark rulings overturning the constitutional right to abortion, expanding gun rights and ending affirmative action in higher education. Roberts did not reference any specific decisions in his remarks, but said the court is simply not part of the political process. Opinions, he said, are based on the Constitution, though he acknowledged disagreement with some outcomes. One thing we have to do is make decisions that are unpopular, he said. Criticism, he said, should focus on rulings rather than personal attacks. He condemned the targeting of lower court judges, a sentiment he has repeated amid rising threats to the judiciary. That is not appropriate and it can lead to very serious problems, he said. High-profile criticism of judges in personal terms has come from Republican President Donald Trump, who also targeted Roberts and other justices who voted against him in the opinion that struck down tariffs the president levied under an emergency powers